Byatt, tell us why has council voted to allow this planning permit to go ahead?
Well, last night's decision was a planning decision, and purely that was based on a planning application, and council has voted to support that planning application going forward.
Some of the campaigners say there wasn't a sort of socio-economic impact done on how the businesses may be affected by this move. What's your response to that?
Well, the decision's been made. As I said, it is a decision of council now, and it will go through a process. And look, as a council, you've got to have confidence in the process. And the process for a planning application is something that has a whole range of aspects to it. And one of those aspects is taking on board the feedback from your referral authorities. And there was a number of those referral authorities, and the information that they provided forms an important part of the council decision and an individual councillor's judgment. And that certainly was the case for the councillors around the table.
So basically you're saying there was no legitimate reason as to why the planning permit could be refused?
Well, each councillor had their own views, and those were expressed last night to get to the decision, and then you take the decision of the whole council, and they would have weighed up what was in the reports that were presented to them, their own research. They would have all done their own research, I know I did, and they would have then put that information together to come to their decision.
On ABC Radio this morning I heard that they were saying it was a difficult decision for yourself. Can you run us through why that was?
Well, I think it's a significant decision in total for the community, there's no doubt about that. And I think each individual councillor would have done their work, and for me personally it was something that I'd agonised over and researched quite thoroughly, even going back to the records of the 1970s to 77 era with the move from CBD Central to Bandiana. And interesting to note in that discussion also that Barnawartha was the preferred supplementary site. So, you know, that was my research journey, and I know that other councillors did their own research, and that included visits to other livestock exchanges around the state and indeed other states, and that's how you get to the decision. We now have a decision of council, and there's the process from here is that there's 21 days after the notice of that decision from last night for objectors to lodge their further objections with VCAT, and that process will take its course as well.
And just looking forward, generally what do you hope the new saleyards will bring to the cattle community?
Well, that discussion is yet to come. We've still got another step in the process to go, and we'll take each step in the process as it goes. Ultimately, you would hope that it will end up with the best outcome for not only the city residents of Wodonga, but also the greater catchment.
What is that next step, Mark?
The next step is for, as I said, there's a 21-day period.
That's the next step.
That is the next step. After we've issued a notice of decision last night to support the proposal, the application, as a council. That decision stands now, and there's 21-day period for the objectors that have already lodged objections to lodge their further objections with VCAT, as I understand it, and then there's a process that follows from that time.
How do you react to comments made after the meeting by saleyards that there'll be election fallout after what happened last night?
Oh, look, I'm not going to debate about elections and what they might look like in the future. I think they will take their course. This is a decision that now is a decision of council, and as a council group we support that decision, and as I said earlier, it's got a process to go. Elections will take care of elections, and you know, if we were looking towards election outcomes all the time, we wouldn't make too many good, too many authentic decisions, I don't think. And I think council has made a decision last night to support the application going forward, and it now needs to take the next step of its process.
You didn't feel like you let down those people that you were perceived to have supported in the lead up?
Well, David, perceptions are just that. There are perceptions of people and groups of people, and I respect that right. I respect the people to have opinions. These significant decisions like this are emotional times. There's no doubt about that. And as I said, going back to the historical time of moving from CBD Central to Bandiana, the emotion was around that period as well, and I respect that emotion. I respect our democratic right as a community to have a view, and I also respect the democratic rights of councillors to do their own research, make up their own views in getting to their decision. And that's what we've seen in this process.
I think
it's been a valid process, and if you can't rely on the process, then I'm not sure what you can rely on.
Will you be standing at the next election?
Well, it's too soon out to discuss elections.
Is this perhaps the most controversial and difficult decision you had to make at a council meeting in your time?
Well, this planning application is a consequence of the EOI process that was done back in, I think, 2008. So it's a journey that's been going for some time, and many years before that. And if you follow the journey and do your research, you'll understand how long it's been going for. But last night, was a decision that we needed to make based on planning grounds, and that decision, and I'm confident that that decision was made on planning grounds, and I commend not only the councillors for staying on point with regard to the planning application, but also the gallery, which I know was very emotional, were very professional and respectful in the way they handled themselves, and I congratulate them on that.
So was it your most difficult?
Look, it would be the most difficult decision to date. There's been other significant decisions, but this one probably had more personal significance than anything. So it was important that I carried out the right research to get to the decision, and I believe I've done that.
How would you describe the gallery interaction? Was it more subdued than you perhaps thought? What were you coming in thinking last night that you were going to encounter, given what had happened previously, before your time of course, but you're certainly made aware of it?
Yes, look, I guess you don't know what to expect in these significant decisions, but we had a process to go through, and we carried on the council meeting as an ordinary council meeting does, and you're just very mindful and respectful of the people in the room, and they respected the process last night, so I'm pleased with the way they handled themselves. It was very professional.
What was the hold up for a month? Because it was delayed a month, wasn't it? What was the story there?
The application or the decision from last night?
Yeah.
Well, it was heading for the July meeting of the August meeting.
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't think the report had been finalised, and councillors certainly wanted the time to review it comprehensively, and I think that was the hold-up.
Do you think they'll go to VCAT? They'll follow through on that threat?
Oh, look, I don't know. People will make their own judgments in that regard.
Would that be a significant hold-up for the council if it went down that path?
Well, there's a time lag as far as obviously 21 days for this period, and then there I think is a further 28 days for VCAT to respond, so there will be a time delay if that course of action is chosen.